It's time to strap in and get ready for the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting. Dan and Dirk are live in the studio today, ready to hear from you at 402-573-0590.
Well, good morning to you, race fans. We join you live and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. How you doing, Sir Dirk?
Well, I'm glad you're speaking of yourself with that bright-eyed and bushy-tail.
We had a great race last night at Kentucky Speedway for the Quicker Stake 400, and we will break down that in turn number 2. We've got Rodney Sanders, 4-time event winner at the Silver Dollar Nationals. And that's as far back as I could count because I lost count after a while. I believe he won both events in 2013 and both events in 2014 Correct. For the USMTS Modifieds. So we talked to Rodney about that in turn number 2. We talked to him earlier this week. We'll play it for you coming up here in just a little bit. Turn number 3, we had a racing legendary family member join us on the show. Marco Andretti joined us to talk about the Iowa Corn 300 coming up this Saturday at Iowa Speedway. Both Iowa and I-80 are running at the same time, which just makes me so conflicted because I love both racetracks. And one of my favorite races at Iowa Speedway, it beats out Nationwide, it beats out the trucks, it beats out ARCA, it maybe even beat out the USAC race if I'd have gone and seen that. But beautiful racing at Iowa Speedway when the Indy cars take the track there. But they scheduled it the same day as the Silver Dollar Nationals wrap-up show.
Well, they have a song that's about take this job and shove it, and you can still go to Iowa.
I could, but we're going to be down in the pits on Saturday night getting interviews with the top 5 finishers from the Silver Dollar Nationals. We'll get some wrap-up interviews, and we'll be live next Saturday to get you all of that audio, so make sure you tune in for all of that. But in turn number 3, we talked with Marco Andretti to get you ready for the Iowa Corn 300 at Iowa Speedway. Tickets on sale at iowaspeedway.com. And then in turn number 4, we'll wrap up the show. We'll preview the next race, which, where are we headed to next? Indy, right? Indianapolis?
Yeah.
Is that where we're headed next, I think?
I think that's 2 races away.
I was so excited to get ready for the show. I forgot to look at our next race in the schedule. We'll figure that out in turn number 4.
Well, that's usually the weekend after the trucks run Eldora, and they run Eldora on the 22nd.
We'll get that figured out for you. I do apologize. A little bit of note for today. Heat advisory already in effect. It's going to be a hot one out there today, so make your plans accordingly. Get all your yard work done. Get your traveling done ahead of time so that you aren't exposed out in the heat. And that heat exhaustion is that's a scary thing. I've had it, and I don't want to get it again, so I'm going to try to get home after the show, mow the yard real quick, and then lock her down for the rest of the day and enjoy the tube.
Use that 97 degrees to drink your beer.
Yes. All right, like I said, recap for today. The Kentucky Speedway on the bill for turn number 1. If you would like to give us a call and talk about your thoughts on Kyle Busch taking the win, the new rules package at Kentucky, we'll talk some news and notes. We'll get your opinion, and there's still time to get your opinion in on Daytona, what happened there, the accident, the fallout ever since. I don't know if you want to call it a fallout, but some of the lack of safety measures that they're going to implement, because I don't think there's really much to do.
Well, you go back a couple years when Kyle Larson had the same type of wreck at Daytona, and he hit right at the finish line where he hit all the turnbuckles. His engine actually ended up on the grandstand side of the fence.
Yeah, that was fortunate. And again, I think we got fortunate last weekend at Daytona that not more people were hurt with flying debris.
Well, I think on that side of it, the Kyle Larson wreck was actually worse. I mean, Austin Dillon's wreck where he stopped, $190 to nothing in 3 feet, that's pretty hairy. Then we turned around on Thursday night at Kentucky at the truck race, and that race ended with a truck in the fence.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on there. I mean, I don't remember many catch fences. I mean, it happens maybe once every couple of years.
Yeah,
a car ending up in the catch fence.
It's not a 10-time a season deal, so it's just one of them deals. It's kind of showing its ugly head right now, and everybody's walking away, which is a good thing. But one of these times somebody's not going to, and it's not going to be the race car driver. They're not going to get hurt in that car unless something really strange happens. It's going to be a piece coming off that car and killing a fan.
And before we get to the recap for for Kentucky. We'll keep going on this subject. If you want to chime in, feel free. 402-573-0590. We always love listening to our front stretch fans. We love hearing from you guys, so feel free to give us a call. 402-573-0590. It begs to ask the question, and the question that was asked all last week was, if the end-all be-all is that one of these days a fan is going to get hurt, how do we prevent that ahead of time? I don't have a good answer to it, because all of my good solutions to make sure fans don't get hurt are going to block the view of the racing action.
Well,
you could put up a concrete wall, but that's not going to do any good, because then you can't see the race. You could push the fans way back, which I think is the most plausible idea. I talked about moving them back 5 or 6 rows. You said, no, you got to go 20 to 25 rows.
Yeah, you do. I mean, when that stuff's flying, it's flying. 5 rows isn't that far to go.
You're absolutely right. And honestly, those aren't the best rows. Those are the cheap seats. I joke that I get the cheap seats at Iowa Speedway, but I'm sitting higher up. And at Kansas Speedway, those are the cheap seats up in the front, because you can't really see all of the racing action, especially along the front stretch at some of these tracks.
Kansas Speedway, you can.
That have degreed front. So I think Kansas it's not, what is that?
Kansas,
front
you can see the back straightaway just fine from that bottom seat. I mean, that track was really designed well. All these new ones are. I know Chicagoland Speedway's the same way. But most of them, you got to get up about like 28 rows. I know the highest I've sat at Texas is row 17, and you couldn't see the back straightaway there. So
very lucky that Austin Dillon was able to walk away from that accident. If you haven't had a chance yet, you can head over to the Front Stretch Facebook page. We posted audio, uncut, uncensored audio from Dale Jr.'s car on the last 2 laps of that race and the last couple of minutes after the race was over with. I think that's the most bone-chilling audio I've heard from the NASCAR circuit. And the greatness about this sport is that you get uncut audio from all of these drivers because of the subscriptions you can pay for through the receivers and stuff like that. That was bone-chilling to hear, because
he saw it in the mirror.
Yeah.
He saw it. It freaked him out.
And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I got to imagine if I was sitting in his seat, I'd have been watching what happened to my dad, 12 years ago? 13 years ago in my rearview mirror, and I don't blame him for that being bone-chilling, but that was scary audio. If you get a chance, head over to the Front Stretch Facebook page. Scroll down a little bit. We posted it on, I believe, Monday of last week, and you can catch that audio. It's really good audio, and it really gets you close to what he was going through.
Well, when he won Daytona and he was in victory lane, he pretty much said, I'd just as soon trade standing here in victory lane to make sure all them people are okay.
Yeah. And that's great. That's we've always known he's a class act, and he continues to prove it. Your results from Kentucky after we were all excited because there's a brand new rules package. So NASCAR says teams come down on Wednesday and Thursday and practice ahead of time.
Bring your canoes.
Yeah, Mother Nature said, no, you're not. So then NASCAR said, okay, let's practice on Friday. And Mother Nature said, no, you're not. And I think they got like about a half a practice session in. Qualifying was rained out. So Kyle Larson got the pole because he was the fastest car in the practice they did get in, but Kyle didn't really have that great of a car. I don't say if he had a bad car. I think he had about a top 10 car, but he seems to be struggling this year, which is really surprising for the way he burst onto the scene last year.
I think if Kyle would have driven the Xfinity race on Friday night, like Brad did and Kyle Busch did, I think that was Kyle's biggest thing that let him win that race last night, is he knew what the track was going to do over the course of the night. And I think that's why there at the end of the race when it was important, that's why he was so darn fast, and he was fast at the end.
Well, Kyle Larson ends up having issues with a cut tire, felt it going down, came on pit road, got it changed, went back out. 2 laps later, it blew. He hit the wall. Not severe damage, but enough that he had to come down pit road, get a new tire, go back down a lap because, they ended up throwing the caution for him, but he ended up finishing 35th. Your chase finishers, Martin Truex Jr. was, I believe, Dale Jr. was the worst of the chase finishers at 21st. I missed what happened to him. Did he blow a tire? Or?
Well, I was watching the race off and on, and the only thing that I really remember seeing about him is when he kind of got into Danica and stuffed Danica in the wall.
That was later on in the race, wasn't it?
And then they came into pit road, and Danica gave him a tap from behind, and then she kind of pulled up next to him, and he gave her a side slam.
The most popular, don't pick with the most popular driver. You're not going to win that, and that's a message to Danica. But you know what? She's a girl. She's got. I think honestly, the sad thing in this world, a lot of female drivers have to push back to show these guys that they're not going to take their abuse. Male drivers have to do it too, but I think female drivers have to do it more.
Well, all the pushing back ought to be done on the track. It shouldn't be done on pit road.
You're right.
If she hits him harder and he spins or something and hits a crew guy or an official that's out there, that's just a real bad deal. Do it where it's safe.
That begs to ask the question, you think NASCAR is going to fine her? Because they have done that in the past, where if you mess with somebody on pit road, they take that very seriously.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any fine. She didn't hit him very hard. Matter of fact, I was surprised he even retaliated.
Yeah. So Dale Jr. is the worst of the Chase qualifying finishers so far, finishing 21st. Martin Truex Jr. 17th. Kurt Busch finished 10th. Jimmy Johnson 9th. Kevin Harvick 8th. Jeff Gordon, who is in right now on points, finished 7th. Brad Keselowski 6th. Matt Kenseth 5th. Carl Edwards 4th. Denny Hamlin 3rd. Joey Logano 2nd. And Kyle Busch got the win. And jokingly, he had that car at the Crispy Edge. If you haven't seen it yet, head over to Facebook and search M&M's The Crispy Edge. It was a bit of a parody on the Days of Thunder that they did with that Kyle Busch and the Joe Gibbs Racing team did with M&M's. Pretty funny stuff.
Yeah, I saw it somebody posted it on Facebook on Saturday, so I took a look at that there, and it was kind of funny because the night before I'm flipping through channels and at like midnight, and I see Days of Thunder's on. I wasn't paying any attention. It was on channel 76 on Cox, which is that Spanish channel. So I flip over, and here's Tom Cruise with some stuff coming out of his mouth that I don't understand. And there's Harry Hyde firing back at him, and like, what is going on here? Am I dreaming?
Yeah, that's that. I wish I could have. That'd have been pretty funny to watch. 402-573-0590. You could give us a call and chime in on your thoughts on last night's races and last night's racing action. What a battle between Joey Logano and Kyle Busch to end that race. And it wasn't at the end of the race, but it was still a great battle between about 30 to go and 15 to go. It was about a 15-lap battle.
Yeah, it was more like 40 to 25, but
okay.
Yeah.
And it just slowly, Kyle was catching him. And then really, I thought NBC Sports did a great job breaking that down because Jeff Burton talked about how, or maybe it was Steve Letarte talked about the lap that Kyle ended up getting around Joey. He caught Joey in the just before the corner, but he didn't pass him because he was setting him up to pass him in turn number 1. And he said that really takes a real talented driver to understand that I have caught you, but I don't need to pass you right now because I've got you set up for a different corner.
And I've got 25 laps to pass you.
Yeah, which is something you and I were having that conversation before, that can Kyle catch the 30th placement and make the chase? And my biggest worry is that he's had a habit of pedal to the metal. I'm driving, all out, no holds bar. You're not going to stop me. I'm going to push you out of the, he's such a hardcore rowdy driver that it makes me worried that he was going to use up his equipment in one of these races. But, you've reassured me that he seems to be a lot more mature the last year or two. And going back through that example, that makes me think, okay, maybe there is hope for him.
With what the chase is worth, he's going to have Joe Gibbs on the radio. He'll have J.D. Gibbs on the radio. He's going to have his crew chief on the radio. I mean, he's going to be getting a lot of talking to.
Yeah.
And if he decides to take it on his own wing and jump out there and stuff the car in the wall when he could have run around for an 8th place finish, he's going to hear about it. So I don't think you'll see that.
We were doing some calculating, which I think all of you guys know for me is scary. As it is right now, Kyle Busch sits 82 points out of 30th place, 87 points out of 30th place, who is Cole Witt. The next place car, David Gilliland, 82. He's 82 points behind him, and he is 45 points behind Brett Moffitt. He has to qualify in the top 30 in order to make the chase and to make his 2 wins valid, and he has to average 10.852 points per race, so 11 points better every race than 30th place as it stands right now. That'll fluctuate as the races go on. Maybe Cole Witt has a bad race and he falls back, so that's 5 less points he has to get. Maybe both those guys have bad races, and all of a sudden he's got a much smaller margin to catch up to. So it's going to be very interesting over the next 8 races to see what happens as far as Kyle, because it is going to be a very interesting thing. I think somebody like Jimmy Johnson, it would be much easier for him to make the chase because he is known to have that level-headedness, but still in the back of my head, I've got that voice saying, no matter what, he's had sponsors tell him to calm down. He's had family members tell him to calm down. He's had car owners. He's had crew chiefs. He's had Jackman tell him, calm down. And he doesn't calm down because Kyle is just so intense. And that's what stops me from betting the house that he's going to get those 11 points a race.
So, Dan, how many of those voices do you have in the back of your head that you can sort out just this one?
I lost count. They're telling me all sorts of things. Right now, they're telling me to go to break. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll come back with Rodney Sanders, driver of the number 20 USMTS Modified. We'll talk to him about his chances of winning 6 races in a row at the Silver Dollar Nationals.
From
we'll be back.
Happy Texas.
We'll be back here on the front stretch.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosiski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
The road to Knoxville, July 30th and 31st at I-80 Speedway. 2 great sprint car circuits battled together on the track for the biggest 2-day purse in Nebraska history. There's going to be over 80 sprint cars between the NSL 410s and the ASCS 360 Sprint Series. They're going to compete for a grand purse of $140,000. Special guest appearances by Doug Wolfgang and live in concert, a Dolly Parton impersonator, Sandy Van Anderson. July 30th and 31st. You can get $5 off coupons available at U-Stop and Casey General Store. For tickets and information, visit SprintCarPromotions.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
We're hooked up in turn 2 and still showing the green flag on the front stretch.
Heading into turn number 2 here on the front stretch. Brought to you by Kosiski Auto Parts. Online at Kosiski.com, located at 51st and I Street, and by phone at 731-4592. Quality used parts at an affordable price. This day and age, when you're trying to find pennies and nickels in the cushions of your couch, you could just head over to Kosiski Auto Parts. Get your car back on the road at an affordable price, and there's where you're going to save your pennies and nickels. Everything counts when you're having trouble making ends meet. Kosiski Auto Parts is there to help you do that and to get back on the road, because everyone needs a reliable car. And if I could make a pretty bad pun here, talk about reliable. That's a terrible transition. I'm sorry. Talking with Rodney Sanders, driver of the number 20 USMTS Modified. Rodney, you definitely, we were kind of talking about it before we went on the air here, that you've got a little bit of ownership at I-80 Speedway with the way you've been running that track lately.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite tracks. Definitely really racy and really wide. So if you have a good car, a lot of times you can definitely get to the front.
Is that the kind of track that you have to have a good car, or can the track kind of make up for maybe missing it just a little bit?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, you got to have a good car, but the track usually has 3 or 4 different lines. So if you're, could kind of search around, I think, a little bit more there than probably more tracks than that other track that we go through. So you can kind of make up for it, I think, with different lines on the track.
I'm seeing you knocking several wins off of the last couple of weeks. Is it easy to get complacent when things are going so good for you?
Oh, a little bit. We just try to, take one race at a time and, I guess just, prepare like we always do as if we're, trying to work for winning. We just try to do the same thing and, most of the time it works out for us. But, there's, for racing, I guess, is a sport that, it'll kind of humble you really quick. So definitely go that way.
When you walk into a place like I-80 and you're getting ready for the Silver Dollar Nationals, which you've won the last 4 events at the Silver Dollar Nationals, is there any, what I want to say, swagger in your walk, or is it this is a different year, it's a different type of year, we've had different weather conditions, I've got a different car, so I need to make sure I'm on my game?
Yeah, it's definitely kind of that way. I know anything can change, like it's a different year. Everyone else works on their stuff too, so it's definitely not a cakewalk, especially USMTS. There's always a lot of
I know my co-host is going to give me some grief for this because he swears I have a man crush on Scott Bloomquist, but I noticed that you got yourself a little relationship going there, and I'm always fascinated about relationships and drivers. So are you two just dating? Are you guys engaged?
We're dating currently. We've been together a little over 4 years, so I'm sure it's going to get more than dating before too long.
Well, I'm saying, 4 years is come on now. Let's. I know guys have commitment issues, but
I'm sure it'll happen.
Do you put her to work at the track, working on the car, cleaning it up, running your merch booth? What's she do? Does she help out, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, she sells T-shirts and that kind of stuff. She don't really work on the car too much, but definitely she'll sell T-shirts, clean, and that kind of stuff. So she helps out.
Was she kind of a race fan before that? Before she met you 4 years ago?
Yeah, her dad, Jason Crone, he races and still races some. So she's always kind of around racing. She likes it a lot, so that definitely helps for sure.
Yeah, most racing wives come from inside the racing circle somewhere.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to date or marry a racer for sure. So they definitely have to like it or enjoy it, or I guess it wouldn't happen.
One of my favorite stories when I was real young, my dad raced the old coupes back in the 60s up here, and I remember one year for my mom's birthday, she got a battery charger.
Yeah. That's funny.
That's my dad got my mom a circular saw for Christmas, and so for Father's Day, she got him a set of pots and pans.
There you go.
Good to know my parents aren't the only crazy ones out there.
Some women complain about a vacuum cleaner,
You kind of talked about I-80 Speedway being one of your favorite tracks. Is that because of the Speedway style? Do you also kind of like going to the bull rings? What's your kind of style of racetrack to go to?
I don't really mind any of them. I just like it where they're racy. I prefer it if it's dry, but I don't mind, I guess, a tacky track as long as there's more than one groove. So just anywhere that's racy and that's wide. I think that's one reason I like the 80s so much. It's so wide. There's a lot of room you can move around.
We're talking with Rodney Sanders, driver the number 20 USMTS Modified. He'll be at I-80 Speedway this coming Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Practice on Friday, and then you guys are racing for the Casey's Cup Series on Friday and Saturday. I think I said that wrong. Practice on Thursday, and then the actual racing on Friday and Saturday. You can get tickets online at i-80speedway.com. Rodney, what's next for you over the next couple of years? Are you planning on sticking with the USMTS, or are you working on moving to a different touring series?
We're going to run some more late model stuff hopefully next year. We're going to run that this year, and we crashed some cars down in Florida and just kind of got off to a bad start and had to get those fixed, and we decided just to finish the year out running the modified. Still run the late model kind of when we're off or when we can, and then hopefully next year we're going to try to regroup. And I don't know about running a series or what we're going to do for sure on that. We haven't really got too much of a game plan, but we're definitely going to still run the mod some, but we're going to try to venture in a late model more the next couple of years for sure.
Hey, Rodney, do you have any aspirations to move over in the asphalt and try and get up in the NASCAR ranks and really start doing some 500-mile racing?
Oh, not really. I'm not saying if I had the opportunity I wouldn't, but not really. I just been kind of picked for the dirt stuff.
NASCAR seems to be about the only place you can make money in auto racing.
Yeah, that's true. There's definitely a lot more money in that. It's kind of tough, running dirt stuff. You got to definitely win your fair share of races to make any kind of money.
Yeah, you can make $1 million in stock car racing if you start with $10 million.
Rodney, let me ask you this question. You're kind of just kind of getting towards that, the lack of money in the dirt series. If you were Todd Staley for a day, what's one thing you would change for the USMTS?
Oh, man, I would think definitely maybe timing in at some of these races, especially some of these tracks that are kind of hard to pass. So you draw, fourth or fifth row of a heat race. Sometimes that makes for a long night. So I would say definitely maybe timing in. That way you can kind of at least get a better starting spot at some of the races.
Maybe this is a little bit too much of a business question that you want to answer, and feel free not to answer it, but what's the biggest money eater for you guys on the road? Is it tires, fuel, food in the infield? What's the biggest money eater?
I want to say it's just like engine expense, and there's a lot of things really. Engine expense and fuel for the hauler and tire. There's just not really one thing. There's just a lot of things that kind of add up. It seems something else, goes wrong or you got to fix, just kind of all different kinds of stuff, really.
So if I gave you $5 million today, what would you do with it? Would you buy some new equipment, maybe a new hauler, a lot of pizza?
He'd retire.
Would you retire?
Yeah, I'd definitely put a lot of it up, and then maybe, buy, some kind of newer equipment maybe, and I guess maybe white model stuff, go around that, I would say.
If you're buying racing stuff, it's going to go quick.
I know, that's the only sport's only way to make $1 million is to start with 2.
Hey, Rodney, you were mentioning engine expense. What's an engine refresh cost these days?
It's just kind of, I guess it depends on, how much they got to do. I'd say anywhere from 5 to 7, 8,000 most of the time for, a refreshing or, that's just kind of a basic fresh job.
Man.
Yeah, that's like new pistons, rings, and bearings, and then maybe a valve or two if it needs it. And
yeah, most of the time new valve.
New valve springs.
Springs.
Yeah.
Just, I'd say that's kind of a minimum. 5,000 to 6,000.
Yeah, no major parts. You're not talking about replacing any heads or new blocks or anything at that point. Yeah.
I got to get into the engine business. I think I'm going to do a career move to heck with this.
Partner, you're not smart enough to be in the engine business.
All right, touche. We're talking with Rodney Sanders, driving the number 20 USMTS Modified. Again, you can catch him this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at I-80 Speedway for the Silver Dollar Nationals, the 5th annual. Rodney, coming from a place called Happy, Texas, how annoying is it when people try to make a pun off of that?
Oh, it's I don't catch it too much. There's sometimes we do it. I don't really get too much grief over it, though, or they don't actually say it to me anyway. So, a little bit, but it's not too bad.
What's Happy close to?
The nearest big town is Amarillo. We're south of Amarillo, probably 30 miles.
Oh, so you're up there in the corner, up the northwest corner of the state.
In the Panhandle, up in the north part.
So what do you like to do outside of racing? What trips Rodney Sanders trigger when it comes to not being at a racetrack?
Oh, man, I don't know. I'm usually always doing something with racing, even if I'm not racing. But I don't know. I kind of like to just kind of hang out or go fishing sometimes or just, I don't know, relax, I guess.
So I think that's all I got for you, Rodney. I appreciate your time, man. Best of luck. We'll see you this coming Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at I-80 Speedway for the Silver Dollar Nationals. Let's make it 6 in a row. What do you think?
I'm going to try. It's not going to be easy, but we're definitely going to try.
All right, Rodney Sanders, driving the number 20 USMTS Modified. Appreciate your time, bud.
All right, thanks.
All right, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in turn number 3 to talk to Marco Andretti. So we'll play that next, coming up on the front stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 200 people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team meetings, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he is talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kosiski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kosiski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the front stretch.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the front stretch. Turn number 3 brought to you by Huffman Productions, bringing you the road to Knoxville, July 30th and 31st at I-80 Speedway in Greenwood, Nebraska. The NSL 410s and ASCS 360 National Sprint Cars compete for $140,000 in the largest Nebraska purse history. I totally worded that wrong. In proper English, that's the way we roll here on the front stretch. $5 coupons available at U-Stop and Casey General Stores. You can visit sprintcarpromotions.com for more information. That's going to be a heck of a race on July 30th and 31st.
Well, and just for everybody that's a stickler that's the biggest sprint car purse because the purse for the silver dollars is a little bigger.
You're absolutely right. That 3-day weekend that's coming up this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, total purse of $185,000. SLMR Series and Nebraska 360s along with B-Mods on Thursday, and then after those races are over with, the Lucas Oil late models and MLRA late models and USMTS Casey Cup modifieds will practice, and then USMTS MLRA late models and Lucas Oil late models will battle on Friday and then again on Saturday. Friday and Saturday gate times, green flag at 8 o'clock. They're just 2 races, so it gets over pretty quickly. But, man, it's some great racing. That feature for the Silver Dollar Nationals on Saturday is 80 laps?
80 laps.
That's a long feature.
Because it's I-80 Speedway.
That's right. He loves doing little things like that. I get such a kick out of some of those things that Joe does. I'm like, Joe, why do you do that? And he's like,
it was actually Eddie that came up with that.
Oh, was it?
Yep.
Well,
it's all Eddie's idea. Joe's running with it now.
Joe, they do a great job out there. Silver Dollar National tickets available in advance, i-80speedway.com. Tickets for the July 30th and 31st Road to Knoxville, brought to you by Huffman Productions at I-80 Speedway. Again, NSL 410s and ASCS 360 National Sprint Cars are available at sprintcarpromotions.com. You can get more information on that. So a lot of racing action going on over the next couple of weeks throughout this area. Quick note, I think I'm going to take a couple of minutes to talk about this before we get to Marco. Crawford County Speedway announced earlier this week, I believe it was on Monday, it was when the press release came out, that they have canceled their July 24th NSL show. A little partial to Crawford County Speedway. I've got some friends over there still. I enjoyed my time working over there, so I wanted to make sure and give them the full opportunity to talk about why they decided to cancel that show. And I think plain and simple, I don't think this has anything to do with bad feelings or anything of the sorts. It's that when they signed the contract, they became the second show the week of July 24th. I can't remember the race that was on there before, but now, as they get closer to the show, there's now 4 races that week, and they're all within 2 hours driving distance. So they kind of felt like they weren't going to get a very good sprint car crowd because it wasn't the only show that week. The drivers could afford to miss the CCS show and go to go to one of the other tracks, and I'm drawing a blank on the other tracks that are on the schedule that week. I apologize, but Crawford just felt like they weren't going to be able to get their money back off of the show because of the dilution in the market. So they decided to cancel the show. I've heard that they are going to they're working with Roger Hayden to get the Sprint Series of Nebraska, the SSN, the 305 Race Saver Series that Roger's running. So they are going to replace sprint cars on the schedule that night for July 24th for the fair races. It's going to be the Race Saver 305s that typically run out of Eagle. So you're probably going to get about 20 to 25 of those cars that are going to come down to Crawford and race that night. So they are going to replace that. All right, all of that put aside, let's head over and talk to Marco Andretti. We had a conversation with him earlier in the week, and we talked to him on the phone. He is the driver for the number 27 Andretti Motorsports in the IndyCar Series. Marco's going to be at Iowa Speedway this coming Saturday. You can get tickets in advance at iowaspeedway.com for the Iowa Corn 300 at Iowa Speedway. And we started off by thanking Marco for joining us on the show.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day and joining us. So, Dirk, I think that's the first question for us.
Hey, Marco, I'm just really interested with your family history. I mean, being the third-generation driver, how old were you when you knew you were going to be that third-generation driver?
Man, I think right out of the womb I was ready to go. But no, I think.
Did you come out at 10 and 2?
Yeah, exactly.
And going to the left?
Yeah. I was ready to go. No, I mean, as a little kid, you always, if somebody asks you, what are you going to do when you grow up? I always said I was going to be a racing driver. But I think, as you progress through the lower formulas and go-karts and you start winning some races, that's when it really becomes a reality. So I'd say maybe my early teens.
Did you worry that you were going to get kicked out of the family if you did anything other than racing?
It's funny you say that. Actually, I pulled a little. They might have pulled a little reverse psychology on me because I actually quit for a while. I mean, I was winning races and not having fun. I was putting so much pressure on myself. I wanted to see what they said, stepping away from it, and then they were like, "Oh, you don't have to drive," And then it worked because I was literally I couldn't stand not being at a racetrack, and then I truly missed it. I think I needed to feel that really and go back for the right reason.
That pressure's got to be insane on you, though. I mean, to have that last name, of Andretti to be the third generation. That pressure's got to be nuts.
It is, but I demand a lot of myself anyway. Whether it doesn't really matter what my last name is, but I'd want to win regardless if my name was John Smith. So, I think at 9 years old, it's a lot of pressure when you first start out. You have a lot of. I remember having so many cameras around me, I didn't even really understand why. But I just wanted to go drive. But now, those are good problems to have.
Yeah, I would think with your proven track record now that there's probably not much pressure anymore. But if you weren't a race car driver, what would you be doing with your life?
I don't know. I always say, I'm trying right now to be a little bit smart for retirement, so I'm really involved in a lot of real estate, commercial real estate and income-based properties. But I don't know where I would get the initial capital from, that's for sure. But I would definitely, go this route. I really enjoy it.
Having your father, Mario Andretti, and your father, Michael Andretti, do you battle with them to be your own racer versus what they're telling you is what they think is the best line for you to run?
Well, they're pretty good. I mean, it's not often that we differ and stuff like that. I mean, it happens sometimes, but a lot of it I need to learn by fire. It's something that I need to go out and do. A lot of times they don't. They might not know, or it's stuff that I just need to adapt on the fly and learn. But having said that, there's still a lot that I can learn from them, and I'm always listening and grilling both of them really as much as I can. I think I'd be foolish not to.
Yeah, because I was going to say with some of these new tracks, I know neither one of them ever drove like Iowa Speedway, for example, and you've got to win there. I don't know if Michael was around yet and still driving when Kansas Speedway opened in 2001. But I know, obviously, your grandfather wasn't. But
so they don't. They really can't give you too much input. But then again, like Dirk said, you've got to win there, so you don't need a lot of input.
No, there's still a lot to learn, man. I mean, I'll be learning till the day I retire.
Were you able to use? Excuse me, Dad. I have a win at this track. Thanks. I got this.
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, he's definitely a big part of all my success. So yeah. I mean. Yeah, we could always joke like that for sure.
And it's also probably harder because he's your team owner too, so you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, it's a fine line, huh?
Well, I'm sure he's got your best interest at heart either way.
Sure.
Talking with Marco Andretti, drive the number 27 Andretti Auto Sports car, going to be at Iowa Speedway this coming Saturday, July 18th for the Iowa Corn 300. You can catch the broadcast on NBCSN at 7 o'clock, or you can get tickets and see it in person. I always talk about how much I love Iowa Speedway, and I do favor going and watching the NASCAR races, but my absolute favorite, 100%, is the IndyCar race. I got to see it for the first time last year when you had a little bit of trouble earlier on in the race, and I apologize, I couldn't find anything on it. Can you refresh my memory of what happened and made you retire early in that race?
Yeah, I'm trying to forget it too. The engine blew up.
Oh, the engine gave out on you?
Yeah, it was one of actually 3 engine failures I had last year. Yep.
Oh, ouch. But you've got to win there, so what does that confidence still carry over as you go into this Saturday's race?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, actually, for whatever reason, we've run really strong there in most of my career. I think I have 4 or 5 podiums there, so we want to definitely keep that streak going.
11 starts this year, 4 top 5s, 8 top 10s. What's your thoughts on your year so far with the 27 car at Andretti Autosports?
I think we're really maximizing the package we're dealt right now. We're a little bit down to Chevy in a couple different areas, but we're really maximizing what we got. We're trying to bring home solid results, and if the car can finish 5th, we're trying to bring it home 5th, or 4th. But we've a couple podiums this year, but so we're just that little bit off. Our consistency's there. We've finished every lap this season. We're the only car to do that, so we got to definitely keep that going. But we just need to be consistently that next little step better, and we'll be winning some races here.
We're talking to you on Tuesday night, but this is obviously airing Sunday morning, and you're going to be at Wisconsin for the ABC Wisconsin 250. Talk about your race at Wisconsin a little bit so that fans know when they tune in tonight on NBCSN that they can catch that broadcast and what they can expect out of the 27 car.
Well, hopefully a win. Yeah, it's, Milwaukee, we've had a couple poles there, but I've never been able to win that race. And my dad won that race 5 times. That's the oldest racetrack in America. So, Wow.
Wow.
I think it's like 1909 or something.
God, I didn't even know that.
But
yeah, it's over 100 years.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I used to be a NASCAR inspector, and I worked a bunch of races there with the Truck Series and the Busch Series through the early 2000s. And I always loved that track. I like flat tracks. I like that. I like New Hampshire. I don't think you guys race up there, but that's about the same type of track.
Yeah, we raced Loudon, yeah. I mean, it's not on the series this year, but we've raced there before. But, yeah, Milwaukee, it's a challenging place. It's a mild track, produces great racing because, as you said, it's a flat track. There's not a lot of banking to help the cars there. So if you miss the setup a little bit, you miss it a lot at Milwaukee.
Talking with Marco Andretti in the number 27 Andretti Autosports car. Marco, you've raced Formula One, American Le Mans, Grand Am, Rolex Series, A1 Grand Prix, Formula E. You've also raced the IndyCar for several years. So what's next for you?
Honestly, I feel like I'm just now getting into a bit of a sweet spot in the IndyCar series. So there's so much unfinished business that I want to do in IndyCar. And, I want to win the 100th Indy 500. I think it's only right that Andretti wins that race.
I think so.
Hey, Marco, every driver makes a move sometime or gets herself in a spot, and 3 seconds after they've done it, they're like, oops. Have you ever scared yourself behind the wheel?
I think scared is probably the wrong word, but yeah, I mean, there's been even in the last race, there's probably 10 or 11 big close calls, and it's sometimes it's like a split second decision. You need to go right or left and back off, and don't back off too much, and so it's a lot of it's instinctual. So you're gonna occasionally make the wrong moves when you got to make them that fast for sure.
Marco, are you a superstitious driver?
I'd say not really at all. I mean, honestly, the only thing that just popped up in my mind is it came from my grandfather. He told me to never sign with a green pen, so that's my only thing.
That's funny, because where I get that from is we got a bunch of local dirt drivers around here. They won't eat peanuts, they won't eat chicken, and they certainly won't carry green cash with them at the racetrack. There's no cash on race day. So green continues to be a theme. What's your favorite thing to do outside of racing?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, what's funny is after like a few races back to back, I just want to relax, and do nothing. My friends will be like, well, let's go on vacation. It's like, I'm not going back to an airport right now. I just want to hang out at the house. And, I like to have my friends come over to my house and just hang out here. We go by the pool, we work out. I put in a lot of office hours too with commercial real estate. So we definitely stay busy even when we're not clocked in on the job.
Hey, commercial real estate, there's 2 racetracks within 150 miles of Omaha for sale.
Hey.
Oh, man. I'm not to that level yet.
You mean that level mean crazy to be a track owner?
Yeah, exactly.
We've been talking with Marco Andretti, driver of the number 27 Andretti Autosports car. You can catch him today at the ABC Wisconsin 250 on NBCSN at 4 o'clock. And then next Saturday, see him in person. Tickets on sale at iowaspeedway.com, or you can catch the broadcast for the Iowa Corn 300 on NBCSN at 7 p.m. Marco, we do appreciate your time, and best of luck the next couple of races.
All right, thanks for having me.
Have a good one.
Thanks, Marco.
Yeah.
So again, that's Marco Andretti, and I'm really sad. I kind of gave Joe Koziski the business because he went and scheduled the Silver Dollar Nationals wrap-up the same day as the Indy Corn 300, and I love going to that IndyCar race at Iowa Speedway. Last year, we got to interview Ryan Hunter-Reay and Joseph Newgarden. They finished 1-2, so we focused on Marco Andretti. I'm not calling my hit, but, we kind of got a streak going. A little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
I wish we would have had more time with him.
I know.
I like talking to him.
There's a whole other couple of sheets, but we'll save him for next time we get to talk to him, hopefully sometime soon. You can catch Marco Andretti again today at the ABC Wisconsin 250 on NBCSN, and then this coming Saturday at Iowa for the Iowa Corn 300 on NBCSN at 7 p.m. Don't watch it on TV. Watch it in person. Tickets are incredibly affordable. It's a great race. It's absolutely
great
fantastic.
Facility.
It's a beautiful facility. You're going to have a great time at Iowa Speedway. We hope you do go over there and check it out. All right, we'll be back in turn number 3 to continue the front stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
The road to Knoxville, July 30th and 31st at I-80 Speedway. 2 great Sprint Series circuits together on one 4/10 mile track for the biggest 2-day sprint car purse in Nebraska history. Over 80 sprint cars between the Nebraska Sprint League, the National Sprint League 410s, and the ASCS 360 National Sprint Series. They're going to compete for a total purse of $140,000. Special guest appearance by Doug Wolfgang and a live concert by Dolly Parton impersonator Sandy V. Anderson. July 30th and 31st. $5 off coupons are available at U-Stop and Casey's General Stores. Visit sprintcarpromotions.com for more.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosiski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
Dan and Dirk are live for one last corner. Give them a call now at 402-573-0590.
Time goes by so fast. The front stretch about ready to wrap up. We got about 15 minutes, actually about 10 minutes left in the show. In the front stretch, as always, presented by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. Karting with a K. New I saw on Facebook, they have the podium stand. So it's not just enough now that you've won the race. Now you can go and get your picture taken. You can post it on social media. You can stand as the top winner with your group at Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs. Make sure you head over to Joe's Karting, 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs, over by Quaker Steak and Lube, the AMC 17. Ruby Tuesdays, the casino area over in that area that's under construction. Fight the construction, fight the changes, and go enjoy yourself some great racing action here in the Midwest.
Hey, when they take your picture over there, do they put a pair of goggles on you and throw a bunch of dirt on your face so you look like an old NASCAR driver?
I wonder if we could do that. I wonder if Snapchat has that kind of a feature or anything like that. That Snapchat is, I hate to sound like an old fogey, but that's some cool thing. When you take a picture, it tracks your GPS, and if you're downtown, then you can put a little downtown Omaha logo over the top of your picture. And if you're at different places like the Joslin Art Museum or you're at like Iowa Speedway, it'll track you there. It'll put Iowa Speedway's logo on there. Some cool stuff. So I wonder if you could do something like a Days of Thunder picture. That'd be really cool. We'll have to talk to the guys over at Joe's Karting and see if we can do that. All right, a little bit left in the show, so we got a couple of things to wrap up. Racing action, I finally figured out the next race. By the way, I make myself little notes at the bottom of my notepad every week, and I forgot to look at it. So New Hampshire is our next race. Loudon, New Hampshire. Talk to us a little bit about Loudon. That's a track that it seems it's pretty flat. Am I right?
It is flat.
Yeah. So they really have to be hooked up during in the corners. And is this a braking track or is it a momentum track?
They'll run big brakes up there, just like they would at Martinsville. Just to kind of put things in perspective, they run the asphalt modifieds up there as one of the support classes.
Right.
They put restrictor plates on them.
Oh, really? I never knew that.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, at Loudon they put restrictor plates on those asphalt modifieds. But yeah, it's a track, again, it's one I like going to, like we talked with Marco. I loved going to Milwaukee. I like those flat tracks just because you got to drive. You don't have the banking, making your car work.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful country up there. I was only up there, I think, 3 times, but I always enjoyed going up there. You're clear north, so it's it's the middle of July, but it's still like weather will probably be 80 degrees. It's not going to be super hot.
That sounds nice on a day like today.
You're up there in a bunch of great big pine trees and stuff. I mean, it's just beautiful. And that track is actually a road course too. That they block off part of it and run. But yeah, it's to me, it's just a great place to race at.
It looks like a fun track and a place that Tony Stewart's had success, Ryan Newman's had success at it. So we'll get deeper into it. We'll get you tips from Chad next weekend as we'll be live next Sunday, recapping all the action from the Silver Dollar Nationals. We'll have interviews from the top 5 drivers. We're going to work on some other cool stuff for you. And then next Sunday, we should have the passes for the road to Knoxville at I-80 Speedway in-house. So we'll do trivia with you guys, and we'll give away some of those passes for the July 30th and 31st show.
I I know you're slipping in your old age there, Dan, but you haven't mentioned anything about our boy Rico getting his first win in the K&N series.
It's right. I'm sorry. I saw that, and we haven't been on the air. We haven't done a show in a while. So, yeah, I apologize. And by the way, a while, I mean, it was, a week and a half ago that we recorded our Sunday show, last Sunday show. And so it's been a while. So I've completely, you're right. Rico Abreu got himself a win in the K&N series. So congratulations to Rico.
Yeah, I don't remember what track it was, but it was his second pole. His first pole, I think he ended up running third or fourth. He kind of got shuffled around at the beginning of the race because I watched that. I don't know if it was on Fox Sports 1 or something at 3 in the morning or something, but I stayed up one night and watched it. But they haven't had his win on there yet, so I haven't got to see that.
And I believe Rico will be at I-80 Speedway coming up in September for, I want to say it's for the other NSL show that they have scheduled. It's a singular standalone NSL show, and I believe Rico is going to come by and watch that or participate in that event. So that'll be really cool to see him compete at I-80 Speedway. So now that I got that pulled up, that's probably going to end up being, actually, you know what? I take that back. I think it's going to be September 18th and 19th for the ASCS Nationals, the Casey's Midwest Fall Brawl. So I believe that we will have it'll be for that show. So, all right, Michael, we've got you on the phone wanting to talk about Rico Abreu. How you doing, Michael?
Good. How are you?
Good. What'd you want to talk about Rico?
So the other night, the Interstate Racing Association IRA Sprint had a race in like Beaver Dam or somewhere in Cedar Lake. And Rico flips in the C race and gets things fixed and still comes back and wins the AC, surpasses everybody.
Wow.
Incredible driver he is.
He can wheel it.
This is going to be a complete, probably a dumb question, but he flipped his. Did he have to go to a backup, or was he able to just repair the car?
It was an easy little roll. You know, sometimes sprint cars just want a little easy roll. It was one of them. They just fixed the top wing and there's some mounts on the front, but still fun to watch.
Wow, he is such a talented driver. I'm really impressed with his ability. Have you got to see him on some of the faster tracks yet?
I've seen him in Knoxville a couple times. I haven't seen him on concrete yet, but I've seen him in Knoxville 3 or 4 times since he's been in the sprint car. So,
well, make sure you mark your schedule. He'll be at I-80 Speedway 17th and 18th to take on the Casey's Midwest Fall Brawl and see if he can't win that grand prize.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Michael. Have a good day. And you can call in if you want something like that. You want to talk about your favorite driver or something going on. 402-573-059. We've got a few minutes left in the show. Something we didn't get to talk to Marco about, and this was completely my fault. I didn't do enough research ahead of time. Apparently, there's a little bit of issue with pack racing in the IndyCar series also. And we had Marco on the phone. I didn't realize it until later on in the week. They had some pretty bad accidents, much like what we saw at Daytona at their last race.
In California.
Right. And from what I was able to talk to, I believe it was John Walsh, who's the weatherman over at Channel 3, comes on the show with us every once in a while and talks weather. I believe I was talking to him about that, and he said that that it was scary for the drivers, and a lot of drivers were almost trembling at the end of that race because of how frightening it was for the full race to be that close to everybody. I mean, normally they get about a car distance, 2 car lengths, 3 car lengths spread out amongst each other. He said it was pack racing like at Daytona, and it was the scariest thing they'd seen, but it was amazing racing to watch.
Well, some of the other drivers also said, hey, this is racing. We got to go fast. We got to be close, and if you don't like it, quit.
Yeah, and that's what, honestly, that kind of suspenseful driving, IndyCar needs that a lot. Let's head over to the phone lines. Got Stan on the phone. Is this the Stan Cisar, the voice of the Speedway?
It certainly is, Dan. How are you guys doing this morning?
Good, buddy. How are you doing?
I waited till the last possible minute here. No, I just caught you guys. I didn't know you were live today, but just a quick recap of a couple things in last night's action taking place. Nebraska 360 Sprints at Butler County Speedway. Jack Dover picked up the win over Billy Alley. How
many in a row is that for Jack? He's just on fire lately.
Well, he didn't win the I-80 race, so
right.
Jack lost. He lost one to Jonathan Cornell, but he went down to Missouri. They had the Red, White, and Blue Series down 3 tracks in Missouri, and Jack went down and beat Jonathan at Double X Speedway down there, and beat Jonathan on his home turf. So he got a little revenge on that deal there. Last night at Eagle Raceway, just an awesome A feature event. I'll tell you what, Trevor Grossenbacher picked up the win And there was a little controversy at the end. Matter of fact, they hadn't decided even after I left, doing some post-race tech on a couple of guys' engine. But Trevor Grossenbacher played through a slider on Cliff Benson with just a couple laps to go and picked up the win down there. Terry Richards comes off a win last week with a third-place finish. Adam Gullion was fourth, and Toby Chapman, the guy that won the Sprint Series in Nebraska race out of US 30 this past Thursday night, came home with another top 5 finish. And he's been on the front stretch for every race since he hopped into that Floodman Motorsports car number 7K. So he found a pretty good home in that car. I think races were great. Shane Hyatt picked up the modified win. Adam Armstrong, the dominator, once again in the hobby stocks, but not without a fight. He had a battle last week's winner, Dave Carter, for the win.
Hey, and double check my notes here, right? I've been talking about Rico Abruz coming to I-80 Speedway for the Casey's Midwest Fall Brawl. Is that the race he's set to come at, I believe?
I believe it is the Midwest Fall Brawl, and
okay.
There's still if a guy can sweep the weekend there once again, I think they've got $20,000 bonus up for grabs for that deal. So
which is probably why he's bringing his talent, not sticking with something else, trying to win that extra money.
He's a great little guy. I got a chance to meet him one time, and I did happen to catch. They did show that race. I think it was from Columbus, the K&N race that he did win, and he hung on. He wasn't without a fight, but to pick up that first pavement win, that gave him an awful lot of confidence in that series too. So he's going to go far, I think.
Stan, I appreciate you joining us, the voice of the Speedway. Sorry I didn't get a hold of you earlier this week. I wasn't sure if we were going to have time for you, so I didn't want to try to cancel you. But
not a problem at all. I just tuned in, and I'm away at church this morning. Tuned in and heard you guys on the air and found out you were live. And I said, hey, I got just enough time to give him a quick call and make that just beat you to the checker flag.
That's right. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Oh, I know we got 2 people up this morning.
Have a good one, Stan.
You bet. Bye.
Stan Cisar, voice of the Speedway. You can catch him Saturdays at Eagle Raceway. You can catch him all around the area for sprint car racing, and then you can see him at his shop at Action Signs, 50th and L Street in Omaha. Does fantastic work, and I complain to him every time when I'm trying to call a race, and there's a driver that has a dark background with dark letters. I'm like, can you go down there and wring his neck and get a little business and give me some contrast so it's easier to see that car number? But I love talking to Stan. All right, pack racing for Indy cars. You're going to see it today at the Wisconsin 250 on NBCSN at 4 p.m. The race is on the big screens at Quaker Steak and Lube at Council Bluffs, the official watering hole of the front stretch. If you missed any of today's show or any shows and you want to go back and listen to them, find us on YouTube, on the Joe's Karting YouTube page. You can also like us on Facebook, the Front Stretch Radio Show, and we'll get you taken care of. We're live again next Sunday, taking care of the Silver Dollar Nationals recap. We don't have any interviews scheduled, but we got giveaways for Huffman Productions for the road to Knoxville. So much more to do. Enjoy your Sunday. We'll be back next weekend to do it all live. Dirk, have a good weekend, bud.
You too.
We'll be back next weekend. This is the Front Stretch presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 200 people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team meetings, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
This is Andrew from Kaziski Auto Parts. Kaziski Auto Parts is an insurance-quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke-down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next-day fashion. Kaziski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kaziski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kaziski Auto Parts, our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
This has been the Front Stretch Radio Show, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. To contact Dan or Dirk, find them on Facebook at The Front Stretch or email them at frontstretch590@gmail.com. If you missed any part of today's show or want to hear a previous show, subscribe to the Joe's Karting YouTube page, where you can find almost every Front Stretch show.